If you struggle with people a lot and they take advantage of you, stop talking a lot. So there's a couple of reasons why. One of the things that helped me a lot is I learned to read people well. So now you would say to me, well, you have an unfair training and you are an interviewer, investigator. You don't need all that. You really just need to be less talkative. If you struggle with people a lot and they take advantage of you, stop talking a lot. So there's a couple of reasons why. One reason is I want you to gather intelligence. You got to think of it like you're an intel gatherer. So when you're talking, you're not gathering anything. You're gathering zero. So you want to get good read on them, let them reveal, give people space to reveal themselves. So that's one. So now I'm reading you and getting you. I always reflect back. I'm like a mirror. Tell me about that. Oh, no kidding. Tell me about you, especially if I'm in the dark with something. So that's one. The other thing is when you're talking, it's very hard to read people. It's a high cognitive load. So the more quiet you can be, the better you're going to be at picking up cues. And even though you can't articulate what that person did that you don't like, you feel it. You feel it. Just the other day, somebody was telling me about something about someone else. And they're like, I just don't feel right with this person. But I keep engaging them because I can't articulate what the reason is. And I'm like, no, you need to listen to that because you're picking something up. You just may not have the skill set yet to define what that is, that cue or that the words or tone or whatever that is they're doing that caused this hiccup for you, but you need to follow it.
Yeah.
Lighten your load. When you go quiet, it's a lower cognitive load. That's why when we did interviews, I was a polygraph examiner with the U.S. Secret Service. I never did criminal interviews alone. Never. I always had a partner. And here's why. And we would say, I'm going to be primary or you're going to be primary. I'm going to be secondary. And the reason why was because I'm talking to my person, my subject. My load is high, so I'm missing things. I'm trying to figure out what to say, how to say it, read you at the same time, listening to your responses. What should I say next? Oh no, how should I shape this question if I follow up with this? Is there an issue here? But this person here who's sitting quietly next to me is picking up all the things that I'm missing. And so what we would do is we actually had chairs with wheels on them. And so these have wheels. So when I would get stuck, I would organically just wheel back. And it was the cue for my secondary to wheel up and jump in. And then they would pick up all the things that I missed. And they would say, earlier on, you mentioned this. Could you tell me a little bit about that? That's why being quiet is so powerful. It lightens your load. So if a person feels very overwhelmed or they feel that they're being kind of taken for a ride over and over again, go quiet and really let people reveal themselves.
The clip highlights a key principle of effective communication, the ability to listen actively and to give space to the other person. People often assume that managing a conversation requires speaking well, when in fact one of the real strengths lies in knowing how to manage silence. From a psychological perspective, this idea is supported by Carl Rogers' theory of active listening, which emphasizes that giving space to the interlocutor not only allows more information to emerge, but also fosters a sense of acceptance and trust. Moreover, the reduction of cognitive load during listening, as the clip points out, aligns with cognitive load theory. When we speak, our attention is split between producing language and analyzing responses. When we remain silent, we free up mental resources to observe, listen, and interpret more subtle signals. Another theoretical framework is the theory of implicit communication, which suggests that many messages are conveyed through subtle, nonverbal cues. When we talk too much, we risk drowning out these signals. When we pause to listen and observe, we can pick up on nuances that reveal intentions, emotions, and even discrepancies between words and behaviors. Reading people also means developing the ability to recognize recurring behavioral patterns. Training ourselves to notice consistencies and inconsistencies between what someone says and what they do is one of the most powerful tools for understanding them. The study of nonverbal communication, including microexpressions, paralinguistic variations, tone, rhythm, pauses, and posture cues, helps reveal hidden emotional states or incongruences between words and feelings. Ultimately, reading people means learning to distinguish between spontaneous and managed behaviors. Those who can spot small inconsistencies among words, voice tone, and body language hold a significant strategic advantage, both in personal and professional relationships.